Yes, this is James Martell, founder of the School of Internet Marketing, and today I am your host, and I'll be talking with Bill Lawrence, founder of healthtraits.org and host of the Health Traits podcast on Spreaker Web Radio. Now, before Bill joins us, just a reminder to our listeners that if you have questions at any time, you can visit us on Facebook at facebook.com/GoGreatMinds. Bill Lawrence is the founder of healthtraits.org and co-developer of SynergiaGSH, aptly nicknamed the mother of all antioxidants. Bill is a successful entrepreneur. He's a city councillor as well in White Rock, BC, a seaside community just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, and he holds a BSc in biochemistry from Simon Fraser University and an MBA from the City University in Seattle. Bill, it's great to be chatting with you today.
Well, it's great to be here, James. Thanks for the invitation, and I'm looking forward to this.
It's always, I find, a great conversation to talk with someone like yourself who has just gone through the process of developing a product for market. I do know many listeners dream of creating their own product or maybe partway down the pathway to doing so, and of course there's many potholes along the way and a few landmines that we want to hopefully avoid stepping on. So I thought it'd be great just to get you on to talk about it and we'll talk a little bit about your product, SynergiaGSH, or SynergiaGSH, sorry, I got to get that right. But let's talk about it. People have a lot of different motivations when they want to create their own product. Sometimes it's purely financially based. Sometimes they've got a product that they just have to get out to the public because they've identified a real need for it. In your particular case, why did you create your own product, and what was your motivation behind it?
Well, the main focus, at least on this product, SynergiaGSH, was to make sure that there is an ability for people to get healthy in a natural way, in a way at least that allowed their bodies to actually repair themselves. One of the big challenges, and part of my past, deals with being in a pharmaceutical industry, basically a mainstream pharmaceutical industry, that promoted really dealing with symptoms and not really dealing with the root of the problem and for different ailments and diseases. And as such, after I left the industry, I left it for a while and then went back to to a natural-based, homeopathic type of a concept and plan of action. And from there, I said, okay, well, there's got to be a way of getting better in a way that doesn't carry along the side effects that are usually associated with pharmaceutical products. So that was the basic need and the motivation that I had in moving forward in getting Synergia developed.
When entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs-to-be are looking at the potential for themselves to be creating a product of their own, I guess it really falls back to the old adage, find a need and fill it. And that's, of course, that's a saying that I've heard for probably decades now. I hate to say it, but it's been around as long as I can remember. And in your particular case, let's delve into it a little bit more. Let's talk about this whole idea of finding a need. And in your particular case, you kind of covered that a little bit. Let's talk about it from the business perspective. When you spotted that potential product idea, take us back to the beginning when you were, and I know you've got partners involved. Take us back to how this all came about.
Well, a lot of it started when it came down to knowing and realizing what's currently in place. Actually, one of the partners had some concerns, had some health concerns, and what was on the market at that time, and specifically through mainstream medicine, did not fit well with him, and as such, there was a need and actually a process that we went through to develop something that was going to be able to take care of the issues that he was having. One of the things that also came into play was the fact that there are so many things and so many ingredients and sources out there that allowed for getting to a healthy state with natural products, products at least that were either naturally occurring in nature or produced, synthesized by the body, that when we were younger were in abundance, but as we grew older, were definitely not as prevalent, and actually basically depleted with age. And one of the big things, especially when it came down to the SynergiaGSH, was the focus on glutathione. When we determined that, and it wasn't us ourselves, but after I think it was about over 67,000 research papers done on glutathione and its links to curing and reducing the effects of the disease effects within human beings, as well as with animals. Once we found out that glutathione was the key to getting that health back, then we focused on that particular aspect of it, and it worked out great. The development side of things came as as they say, necessity is a mother of invention. When you're not feeling good and you're ailing and you want to try to get better in a natural way, at least in a way that's not going to then cause more side effects, which were sometimes more often than not even worse than the original ailment, then you take a look at doing your research, making sure at least that products are out there that can do that. And we knew that was intuitively, we knew that was going to be the case, and we made sure that we knew which ones that we wanted to include, and made sure we put them into the formulation.
Once you had the formulation basically, I guess, nailed down, for lack of a better word, what was the steps that it took next? And I do know when it comes to product development, because I've been involved in quite a number of them myself, that sometimes it can take a little longer than expected to get to market. What, in your particular case, steps to manufacturing? So now you've got a formulation. Now you actually need to create the product. What, right from, I would suggest, labeling, packaging, regulations, of course, creation of the product. Take us through the steps that you had to go through to get from where you were with an idea and a formulation to actually have the bottle in your hand.
Well, you take a look at the fundamentals, I guess, of product development, and even with the marketing side of things. But when you're dealing with getting off the ground, the product, the pricing, the placement is one of the key rules of thumb, I guess, to utilize. We want to take a look at some of the niche markets, and being everything for everybody is definitely not a good way to go unless you have multi-billion dollars at least to spend on pretty much all of your marketing and product development. And definitely in this case, and I'm sure in the case of the majority of your listeners, nobody's going to have that amount of money to be able to spend on that. But when we took a look at what we had, we said, this formulation is going to work well. This is going to be, in fact, pretty fantastic for those at least to take a look at it and utilize it as a product. We noticed and saw that the different ingredients worked well together. Like there a lot of problems, at least with some of the pharmaceuticals that are out there right now. There's a lot of different drug interactions because people are taking different medications. Something for their heart, something for their say arthritis or something like that. And then there's always the drug interactions that come into play, let alone the warnings and side effects that they create. But you want to make sure at least that the compounds that you put together are going to work well together, and don't cause something that you don't want to have, an adverse reaction or adverse drug interaction. So we took a look at making sure that we had the right compounds, the right chemicals put together, and then it came down to sourcing out everything that we needed to get the job done. We were going to have them in capsule format, so we had to find a lab to set it all up. And we took a look at making sure that if we're going to put something on the market, we wanted to make sure that it was a premium product, a product that people would feel comfortable with, would feel very, very, very satisfied with the quality that was going to be put forth, and wouldn't have any issues, at least with fillers and excipients, at least that could be harmful, at least anyway, to individuals, because there are a lot of unfortunately a lot of supplement companies that are out there that just add things to fill the tablet or fill the capsule, at least anyway, space, so that they can say that they have a full tablet of goodies. But we had enough there to fill the product with high quality pharmaceuticals or nutraceuticals in this particular case, and finding a lab to be able to pull it off, finding a labeler to make sure that things were set ready to go, so that we can make sure that they are compliant with both with Health Canada as well as with the FDA, based on the fact that the marketing is mainly done, at least anyway, down the States, but then we also have the ability to provide at least to Canadian customers. And then also knowing exactly how we're going to be distributing the product. The main focus we wanted to do was via the internet, because we felt that particular avenue was going to provide us with the best bang for buck. If you take a look at a number of different businesses, say even restaurants and things like that, you have to have a brick and mortar type of a storefront you're ready to go, because you can't really eat your food, at least anyway, order it on the internet unless you're doing some sort of a delivery system or something like that, right? But if you're not in if you're not in the restaurant business, you're setting up a product or service that can be utilized actually quite well with the internet marketing model, then you're sitting pretty. If you're able to coordinate and make a promotional package that is impactful to the market that you want to reach.
I'd like to get into detail. I do know we're going to do a second part to this show where we're going to talk to you about your experiences with coming online with a product such as this, and I'm looking forward to that. Let's talk a little bit about as the product has been developed and as the packaging came together with the labeling, and you mentioned Health Canada and you mentioned the FDA.
Right.
Anybody that's creating a product always has these regulators that they need to be aware of and paying attention to. I would imagine, especially in the healthcare industry, anything to do with pharmaceuticals. And I do know your product is actually a pharmaceutical product. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, it's a product that we have had some. Definitely, it's taken a while to get to where it is right now, and that's the thing about it. If you have a dream that's in place, you definitely don't let anything stop you. You know that it's going to be something that's going to help people, and we use that as our main premise. Our main mission was to help people. There are a lot of things that individuals can do if they have certain ailments that are non supplement related. Just changes in lifestyle, because of the fact it's our lifestyle that sort of got us to where we're at right now. Changing that lifestyle, would intuitively be logical to be able to get us back to a normal state. But to add to, I guess, the speed and degree at which you can get back to a normal state, supplementation is definitely recommended. And if you're able to do it with a natural product, something that at least provides you with the ability, like naturally occurring product that can get you back to that normal state or back to that healthy state, then you're far better off, at least anyway, than going with some of the mainstream pharmaceuticals that are in the medical system right now.
You mentioned a few things along the way here. You talked a little bit about having some ingredients that set you apart from your competition, so that gives you a competitive advantage. You clearly have found a need and you have filled it. And you also mentioned the word niche. You said unless you've got billions of dollars to get to market, and I guess such as a pharmaceutical company who seem to have very deep pockets. Most listeners, as you also said, were clearly not in that position. So we really do want to make sure we're focused and targeting in on a very specific niche, because it gets back to the saying, do you want to be a very small guppy in a very big sea, or do you want to be a big fish in a small pond? And in all of this conversation we're having about competitive advantage and finding a need and filling it and targeting in on a niche, what would you say is the biggest things through the development of the product? What's the biggest things that you've learned?
I think there are many. Like there's no doubt about it. Once you get into into creating a product and getting it to market, there's always something new that you have to go through. That I'd say initially, at least, you weren't cognizant of, and that's one of the big challenges. I think one of the big things that came into play, and one of the biggest learnings really is dealing with some of the regulatory boards. And depending at least on the product that you have, you might not have to deal with any of these guys at all. But most of them have a government agency at least that they have to deal with, and you definitely have to dot your I's, cross your T's, make sure at least that everything is in place that is necessary, so that public safety is paramount. Because anything that you're taking, by mouth or being through injection or whatever, some of even the skin patches and things like that. Anything at least anyway that is for the human body has to be of the utmost have the utmost in safety. So that's paramount. When it comes down to anything outside of, say, the regulatory side of things, then it's just those little things when it comes down to package size. The bottle size, the how it looks to the customer and the end user, what you provide on the labels, even things like small things like that. You don't consider it a lot actually when you're sort of like a consumer. You're just there, so you read label here, label that. But then it comes down to determining, okay, well, which labels are going to be more appealing to customers? What do you have to do? We're talking about colors. You're talking about font sizes. You're talking about just the way that the text and graphics at least anyway are arranged at least on the label. So those little intricate things can actually make or break a product brand. So it's not just what's in the bottle that is of concern, but it's also what's outside of the bottle and what the consumer themselves at least sees. And it's actually it's a pretty good eye opener. It's actually really, really interesting, because you come down to now then the psychology and the purchasing decisions that are being made at least by the public when they do see a product, say, on the shelf or a product online. What information is there for them to glean? What information is there for them to assimilate? And is that information accurate and believable? And that's the big thing, at least, that comes into play is making sure that what the customer sees in front of them is one that has the persuasive ability to get them to click on the Buy Me Now button, as well as make sure that what they are purchasing they feel very, very, very comfortable with, because you want to have a repeat customer, somebody at least who's going to be loyal and come back again, at least anyway, if they like what they see. And with that, it comes down to making sure that the aesthetics, as well as the background and the information that's going to back up everything that you say, is there and in place and ready to go.
How important would you say it is to be, as you clearly are, passionate about the product that you're developing?
It has to be paramount. If you feel that it's just another product, it's something that people might buy, that's life, that's grand, and all that stuff. Without that passion, then you can't communicate that passion to anybody else. especially if you have the ability, and you should go out into the community, and if there are trade shows, if there are, farmers markets, things that allow you to get out in the public and talk about your product. If you're not passionate about the product, then people will see it also and see it in you that the passion is just not there. And they'll try to figure, okay, well, if this guy who made this product or is bringing it to market, if he's not feeling comfortable and enthusiastic about it, why should I actually take a look at it and think it's going to be something that's going to help me out? So the passion is definitely there. You have to take a look at it. You have to see. You have to be and feel it and know that you're doing something that's positive, because that's one of the big things, especially in the healthcare industry and when it comes to supplements and pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, I guess in this particular case. You have to have an innate desire to make people better, and you want to do it in a way so that the cure is not worse than the disease, because a lot of times a lot of people do have problems with what they take in mainstream medicine, and it just doesn't do the trick for them. It adds a whole new set of problems, which then they have to take further medications to try to get rid of those other problems that are created by the first line of medications. So it's that type of thing where you have to have that passion to get people better with helping their bodies actually help themselves, and that was as I explained before, that's our premise. We want to try to get people to a state where their bodies are doing what they're supposed to do. The main focus, and especially when it comes down to overall healthcare, is that the body loves homeostasis, the state of homeostasis, and that is where the body is self-regulating. If there's a slight change in the conditions in the environment, such as, say it gets a little warmer, and we're getting some great weather out here right now, which is awesome. But if it gets warmer, then the body does what it needs to do to then try to cool itself down. So it's doing stuff to counteract at least what's outside. So if you're able to make your body do what it needs to do to counteract anything that's outside in the outer environment, then you're doing well. When the body, either through toxins in the environment or autoimmune disease and other issues, at least where it can't regulate itself as well as it did when it was younger, say in your 20s, when you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and some of that function is missing, you can actually get it back. And that's why we focused on glutathione and getting it out as the mainstay in SynergiaGSH, so that people can get back to that youthful body function. And you'd be amazed at some of the testimonials that we've had with it. And if you're able to do that, then you are definitely well on your way to having a very, very good lifestyle, and one, at least anyway, that is less involved with popping pills, left, right, and center. So it's positive, very positive.
Bill, if you would, I can see we're just about out of time. Would you mind offering up a few final words of encouragement to those who may be on a similar path to you, a little bit further behind on the path of creating their own products? Any words of advice?
Well, if you have a product that you feel that the public is going to need and want, I guess that's really what it comes down to. There are a lot of products that are out there that sit on the shelves that people don't have a real need for. If you can determine the need for it and then focus on those individuals, as long as that market is big enough for you to prosper in, take a look at some of the players that are in there also, and try to determine, hey, are they making a living? Niche marketing is really the way to go these days, and if you're able to focus on that, then more often than not you'll have a higher level of success. Definitely.
Bill Lawrence from healthtraits.org and host of the Health Traits podcast on Spreaker Web Radio. Bill, thanks so much for joining me.
Well, thanks, Janeway. I was very, very happy to be here. Thank you.